All right, today we're going to dive into a story about a celebrated king, a truly loyal soldier, and a single fateful decision that kicks off a devastating spiral of adultery, deceit, and ultimately murder.
So how does a hero become a villain? Well, this explainer is going to unpack that very question through the ancient story of King David, his soldier Uriah, and the woman at the heart of it all, Bathsheba. It is a gripping, timeless account of how unchecked power can corrupt even the best of us.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story starts in Jerusalem. It's springtime, and in the ancient world, spring meant one thing, and one thing only. It was time for kings to go to war.
So you've got his army out there on the battlefield, but the renowned warrior King David, he's back in his palace, just lounging around. And this one simple choice, to stay behind in comfort while his men are in danger, well, that turns out to be the first domino to fall in this whole tragic story.
So he's up on his palace roof one evening and he sees a woman bathing. Now, he doesn't just look away, he acts. He uses his power to find out who she is, and get this, he discovers she's the wife of one of his own soldiers who's out on the front lines. That doesn't stop him. He summons her and he sleeps with her. It is just a shocking abuse of his royal power.
And then, the message arrives, the one that changes absolutely everything. Bathsheba sends word to the king, and with just 3 words, his private sin suddenly becomes a public crisis. A desperate cover-up has to start, and it has to start now.
And that brings us to the next phase, the cover-up. David thinks he's got a clever plan, but it's about to completely unravel, all thanks to the unshakable integrity of the very man he wronged.
So, David's got this 3-step plan, right? First, he calls Uriah back from the front lines, pretending he just wants to report on the war. Then, he tells Uriah, hey, go home, relax, be with your wife, hoping that'll, obscure the child's true father. When that doesn't work, he moves to step 3, just get the guy drunk. Surely that'll do the trick.
But Uriah's response is just remarkable. His sense of duty is so deep, he basically says, my commander and all my fellow soldiers are sleeping in tents in an open field. How could I possibly go home to my comforts? No way. I will not do it. I mean, his loyalty just puts David's own selfish actions into a really stark, shameful light.
Even after David gets him drunk, Uriah's loyalty holds firm. He just sleeps at the palace entrance with the other servants. He refuses to betray his comrades, and with that single act of integrity, David's whole deception just completely collapses.
So, thwarted by a good man's honor, David makes a horrifying pivot. This is the point of no return. He escalates from deception to a plot of cold-blooded murder.
And this next part is just unbelievably cold. David writes a letter ordering Uriah's death, and then he gives it to Uriah himself to deliver. The loyal soldier becomes the unknowing carrier of his own death sentence. It's just a whole new level of treachery.
Now, David's general Joab is a pragmatist. He gets the order and he carries it out to the letter. He puts Uriah in the most dangerous part of the battle, has the other troops pull back, and lets the enemy do the king's dirty work. Uriah's fate is sealed.
And this moment right here shows you just how politically savvy Joab is. He knows sending men that close to the wall is a bad military call, and he anticipates David might pretend to be angry about it to keep up appearances. So he gives the messenger a script. He says, if the king gets upset, just give him the one piece of news that will calm him right down. Uriah is dead. David's response to the news is absolutely bone-chilling. There's no grief, no remorse, just this cold, dismissive remark about the randomness of war, treating the death of this incredibly loyal soldier as nothing more than collateral damage.
So, with Uriah out of the picture, David moves quickly to finalize his plan and claim what he wanted all along. But you know what? The story is far from over. The aftermath unfolds pretty much just as David planned. Once the official mourning period is over, he marries Bathsheba, she moves into the palace, and she gives birth to their son. To anyone on the outside, it really looks like he got away with everything.
But the chapter ends with this final, ominous sentence. It's such a simple statement, but it carries incredible weight. It's this reminder that while David may have fooled his kingdom, his crimes did not go unseen. A judgment is coming.
This whole story serves as such a powerful, timeless warning. It really forces us to confront the corrupting nature of power and the devastating price of a single compromised decision. And it leaves us with a question that still echoes today. What is the true cost when those in power start to believe they are above the law?